August 30th, 2014, from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. It was the #1 ranked Florida State Seminoles against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. And what a matchup this was going into this one. People thought Florida State might run away with it, and that's how it looked early on in the first quarter. Florida State scored first around the 9-minute mark when they got a field goal to put them up 3-0. Then, moments later, on the next possession for Oklahoma State, Nate Andrews intercepts the ball and he runs it back for the pick six for a 9-yard interception return for a touchdown, and that put the Seminoles up 10-0. So the Seminoles were in pretty good position going into the second quarter. Then around the 8-minute mark, a little over 8 minutes left in the first half, Mario Pender had an 11-yard run, and that made the score 17-0 Florida State. So Florida State got off to the early lead. They were up 17-0, but not so fast, because here come the Cowboys with 4 minutes left in the second quarter. Desmond Rowland had a 1-yard run, which was the first point to the game for the Cowboys, and it put them on the board. And it was now 17-7. Then, just as the half was coming to a close, Ben Grogan hit a 37-yard field goal, and that made it 17-10. So going into halftime, Oklahoma State cut Florida State's lead to 7 points, just one score. But then coming out of halftime, Florida State ended up getting a field goal to push their lead to 10, as they were now up 20-10 with about 12 minutes left in the third quarter. But just about a minute after that, Oklahoma State scored real quick. They didn't waste much time. It was about a minute 5, buck 05, and David Glidden had a 55-yard touchdown reception. He was on the receiving end. He got that one from J.W. Walsh. So Walsh with a big pass to Glidden, and that put the Oklahoma State Cowboys within a field goal, as the score was now 20-17. But then Jameis Winston, the Heisman, he came off with a huge 28-yard run, and that would put the Seminoles back up by 10 points at 27-17 with about 5.5 minutes left in the third quarter. So now going into the fourth, Oklahoma State was still battling, and J.W. Walsh, this time J-Dubs takes it in 24 yards, the big run, and now it's a 3-point game as the Cowboys cut the Seminoles' lead to just 3 points at 27-24 with a little under 12 minutes left in the game. The Seminoles were feeling that heat from the Cowboys. They were coming at them, running and gunning. But then Roberto Ayo got his second field goal of the game, and that put the Seminoles up by 6 points at 30-24. So then, about a minute and 15 later, Rashad Greene came up huge with a 50-yard touchdown reception, and Jameis Winston was the one who threw that. And it's just coming up big in the second half. He didn't really do so much necessarily in the first half, even though he got off to that quick lead, and he didn't have to do so much. But when it came down to it in the clutch moments, first by that big run in the end of the third quarter, and then here, about the same time in the fourth, he comes up with a 50-yard touchdown pass to Rashad Greene. So now it was a 13-point game as the Seminoles were up 37-24 and looking like they were going to win this one. And they had just been a quick brush with the possibility of defeat. But not so quick, as J-Dubs wasn't going to give up on the Cowboys side, and he marched the Oklahoma State all the way down, and they scored a touchdown off the 3-yard run from J.W. Walsh with a little under 2 minutes left in the game, and that cut the lead back to 6 points. It was now 37-31. So now Oklahoma State would have to go for the onside kick, and they would not recover. The Seminoles got the ball, and they ran out the clock, and they narrowly escaped Texas and AT&T Stadium with the victory as they got the win by 6 points. So it was a much closer game than people thought. And the final line on this game for Winston was 25 for 40 with 370 yards passing, 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. He also had 9 yards rushing off of 5 carries. And for J.W. Walsh over on Oklahoma State, he was 15 for 27 with 203 yards through the air, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also ran for 51 yards with 11 carries. They also, Oklahoma State, Childs had 47 yards on the ground, and Hill had 44, as well as Rowland had 28. So altogether, the Oklahoma State backfield came up with 161 rushing yards. They outrushed Florida State, who only had 106 yards, most of which came from Carlos Williams, who had 66. Of course, Mario Pender had 31, and then Winston had that 9. But really, Rashad Greene was the big player of the day, the playmaker. 11 receptions for 203 yards and that big touchdown late in the game that put him up by 13. And he was the only receiver to break the 100 mark, and he even had 203 yards. Of course, Nate Andrews with that big pick 6 for Florida State. Seth Jacobs and Ashton Lampkin had interceptions for the Cowboys. Either of those were pick 6s, but they were crucial interceptions that kept them close in this game. Yeah, Florida State, number 1. They come out with the victory, but just narrowly, and we'll see how that affects their number 1 status when everyone goes to vote and they put everything in. So we'll see how that goes. But as for here, Florida State wins 37-31.